and I will show you exactly how, from concepts to prompts to that final edit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Creative AI session. Today, we are embarking on a very fundamental lesson, a little bit of a crash course on how to make full-length videos. I think you've all had the opportunity to play around with some of these video models and create little clips. They're getting better and better, right? In the beginning, they were kind of, I don't know, the physics were all off. People were morphing all the time. Whereas now, a lot of these clips made by these new models are really good, very realistic, and pretty fun. But they're just clips. So how do we take these clips and build a full-length video? And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So let's take a little look at our journey over here. All right, so first of all, we are going to take a little look the state of AI video. So understanding the current capabilities as well as the limitations of these generative AI models, it's really important. It helps us kind of get a good idea of what we can achieve with AI and where we have to establish a workaround. That helps us basically create things of really, really good quality because we know what we're working with. Then we are going to take a little look at video fundamentals. Even though we have all these wonderful AI tools at our fingertips, the process of making a video is still the same. AI can help us, but we need to understand where we begin and where we end in order to bring our creative concept to life. After that, that's where it starts to get very exciting. We are going to work on a little case study together, and we're going to use some advanced prompting with ChatGPT. We're going to use ChatGPT as a creative partner to help us create a full-length video, some video recipes, as it were, and that will be quite exciting. So stick around for that. Then we will look into production and editing. So how do we take this image and how do we put it together in order to create a full-length video? Let's get into it, shall we? All right, so let's talk about the current AI video landscape. What is possible right now? So we have video with built-in sound. That's something like VO3 allows us to essentially prompt what we want our characters in our video to say. And then they say it, which is really great. Generally, we can add sound, we can add background sound into these small clips. Pretty cool. 30-second video length. Now, this actually only pertains to some different models. If you're working with something like HeyGen, for instance, this allows you to actually make some 30-second video lengths by kind of turning images into avatars. But the majority of video clips that you can create, something like VO2 or VO3 or Kling or any of these other video models, you're looking at around 8 seconds. So 8 seconds isn't actually a lot, right? How the hell can we make a video that's, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How do we do that if we have 8 seconds? And convincing movement. We've got way more convincing movement now with these models. You may have seen this video before. I'm going to play it now. This is Will Smith. Or is it? This is an AI representation of Will Smith eating pasta. So you can see on the left, Will Smith is going crazy. He's just eating it with his bare hands, and it looks like he's even eating his own hands. So not what we want. On the right, really good. The pacing is really nice. So now we know what we're working with. I'm just going to show you a little IKEA advert in 8 seconds. You may have seen this kind of all over social media, probably a couple of months ago. It was just when VO3 was released and allowed sound effects to come into play. So when things were moving, we had the sound with it. It makes it such a more realistic experience. Of course, these VO3 clips are only 8 seconds. So in order to make an advert complete, they had to figure out how to fit it into those 8 seconds. So that's what they did. We have a full story arc here. So let's take a little look.
Right.
And there you go. It's a full story. It starts with a little box, rumbles around, and then it explodes, and all of the elements needed to put together and make a bedroom fly out and put themselves together and position them in place. It's good because it does describe what IKEA does, right? You get a box, it looks like nothing, and then you put it together, usually not so seamlessly, and you have a bedroom or whatever. So it reflects what IKEA does, and it all happens at a beginning and a middle and an end in the video. So that's complete. That's wonderful. And that's a representation of how we can make the most out of what we have in terms of making something very small, concise, and fitting it into the 8 seconds that we have. This isn't true for all story concepts. Some are a little bit more complicated. There are more things that we want to introduce. We may have certain characters who have their own story arcs. We may just need to explain something further and be less abstract and suggestive. With that, we need to figure out how we can use these 8-second clips and put them together to make something that makes a bit more sense. So that's where we have to get into understanding video fundamentals. If I was working on a big film set, I have to go through these different steps. The first one being pre-production. This phase is all about planning, preparation, and eventually ensuring the success of your video. I know sometimes when we get a handle on these different tools, we just want to get straight into it. We want to see what we can create straight away. But this usually is a bit of a recipe for failure. We need to have a really solid idea of what we're trying to achieve from the get-go, so that we can, as we're working, kind of work towards an end goal that's really, really, really solid visualization. So what we need to do is we need to develop our concept. We need to brainstorm ideas. We need to define the overall strategy and the goals for our video. What are we trying to do here? We then need to also write a script. So once we have a really clear idea of what we want to create, we need to figure out how that's done. We need to develop a comprehensive script or an outline to clearly communicate our story, our message. We can also make a storyboard as well. So with images, we'd need to scout locations. Now, of course, if we were working somewhere, out in the world, we had video cameras, we had a whole crew, etc. We need to figure out where we're going to shoot. And this is the same, actually. If you are still working with AI, you still have to do some scout locations. Where do you want your video to take place? Is it somewhere that you would wish you could go and you have never been? Collect some reference images, build your world, and assemble your team. Gathering your team can also mean gathering those tools. What are you going to get a subscription to? What software do you need to use in terms of editing? Things like that. That's going to be your team as well. We are going to go into the crucial stage, which is capturing all that raw footage and audio needed for your video project. So once we have an idea of what we want to build and how it's going to happen, we need to make those visuals happen. So we film, or if we're using AI, we run our images through video models to make these small clips. We gather all our audio, so maybe we decide to go fully AI. We don't use a sound library, but we actually prompt lots of different sounds that we might use, or music, or voices, anything like that. And we gather all of this and we file it. So we have it all there. We have our script or our storyboard as our little map. And then we have all of the visuals and audios that kind of fit into that map. And we put it together there. And once we're all ready with that, then it's post-production, isn't it? That's how we bring the video together. So we take all the little clips, we take our video recipe, our storyboard, our script, and we pull all of that into some editing software where we arrange our clips and our audio together. We might add transitions, we might add some other visual elements like titles or anything like that. And then you've got your video and you can tweak around with it. Like maybe one of the clips that you generated didn't make quite a lot of sense, only at the end. Then you just chop off the weird part and lay it into the timeline. And once you have that, you can export it and you have a video. So this works in traditional filmmaking, but it also works in the AI field as well. Now we have a solid understanding of what we're actually going to do and how we get there. We can start thinking about using ChatGPT to aid us in this process and basically help us create a full-length video. This is a little shortcut. This is something to get those creative juices flowing. We're going to have a little look at hover shoes. Why walk when you can float? We are going to make an advert here and we are going to use ChatGPT. We're also going to be using Kyber. I'm going to show you around both of those. So let's begin. How do we even start? You need to open ChatGPT and have kind of understanding of what you want to create. And then we start with this prompt. I highly recommend taking this prompt and trying it with your own project. You can work along with this video or you can absorb all of the information and try afterwards. So the prompt is, you are an experienced and experimental film director and DOP. Help me craft a 60-second advert for hover shoes. Why walk when you can float? Ask me any questions you need to make this spectacular. All right, so let's break down this prompt, shall we? Why is this a good prompt? We give the ChatGPT a role. They are an experienced an experimental film director and DOP, that's director of photography. I gave them experienced, but also experimental because I didn't want ChatGPT to just go into a stereotype of film directing and just decide that everything's going to look really, really generic. I want it to be open to my ideas and to sort of infinite possibilities. Also choosing director of photography, I want it to be very cinematic, what I'm producing next. I want it to look really great film. And basically that's it. And then I put what I'm trying to achieve here. So help me craft a 60-second advert for hover shoes. Why walk when you can float? So I've established what I'm making here. I also gave the tagline and the length of the video that I want to create. And then this is the special sauce here. Ask me any questions you need to make this spectacular. I want ChatGPT to work with me. I don't want it to come up with something on its own. It might be good, it might be awful, and then it's not really my creative idea. I need to put my ideas into the process so that we can work together as a collaborative partner. Okay, great. So once we've that prompt into the system, we get it back, and ChatGPT says to me, love it. Why walk when you can float is killer hook with loads of cinematic potential. To make your 60-second advert spectacular, I'll need a few quick questions answered first so I can tailor the concept to your brand's tone and production capabilities. So we've got a couple of questions here and it's really lovely. It's all numbered. We have a question on target audience. Who is this for? Tech enthusiasts, commuters, Gen Z, brand style. Are you going for sleek and futuristic, playful and fun, gritty and urban? We also have a question on the product features, location options, talent, budget range, music rights, and also a call to action. Is this purely brand awareness or should it push viewers to buy, download, sign up, something along those lines? So we have a really lovely range of questions. In fact, before I went into this, I hadn't even thought so deeply into what I was trying to create here. So This is really good. This is getting my creative juices flowing and really making me think about my concept. Once you have this list of questions,
You're watching a real session from LEEON, where AI meets human learning. Want to dive deeper? You'll find everything at leon.com. Links in the description.
gotta answer them. So as I mentioned before, the questions are listed 1 through 8, which makes it super easy for us to answer. We just answer in one message back, and we just answer each of the questions. So it's for commuters and design-focused people. The shoes are sleek and futuristic, but also urban and cool. Think people who read Dazed magazine. The smoothness of them is something I want to highlight. I want it to be in urban streets with this abstract light space as well. And I want there to be professional actors in the advert, but I also want an urban dancer feel. So these two elements. I want it to be fully commercial advert, but I want it to be a little bit gritty, original scoring in terms of music. And I want it to be brand awareness. I don't want it to say at the end, like, buy it now or something like that. No cars salesman type pitch. I want it to be sleek, like inviting people in and being like, oh gosh, maybe I want to buy these hover shoes. Once we have that, I send it back and it basically says, amazing. That gives me everything I need. And then create a 60-second hover shoes advert for us based on the feedback I've given. Of course, this is just an example, so I've been very, very brief in what I've fed back to the system. I mean, I think it does highlight a lot of what I want in terms of my creative vision. However, you can go even more into depth. And it also means you don't need to go all into depth. Now, once we get our script back, you can have a little look and decide whether you want to make any tweaks from that. So it gives us a shot-by-shot breakdown based on our answers. So we now have our title, which is Why Walk. The runtime is 60 seconds. Our objective is brand awareness. And it also gives us a little format as well. We have a concept overview. This is really good because now we can see whether ChatGPT understood what we were trying to put across here. So it says, a visual meditation on movement in modern life. Walking is resistance, friction, delay. Hover shoes are frictionless, expressive, and smooth. The ad blends minimalist futurism with gritty realism set in a world feels 1 foot in Berlin and 1 foot in Blade Runner. Okay, I like the concept. This is good. And this was really what I was thinking of when I was answering those questions. So that's matched things really, really well for me. Of course, if it didn't get it quite right, just work on it more. Make your suggestions and say where you need to refocus, thing like that. It's also now given me a shot-by-shot breakdown. This is great. So that script, that storyboard that I was talking about in the pre-production phase, it's given it all to us and we can work with it. So it doesn't need to be the final project, but it definitely gives us some bones in order to work around and figure out where we want to make some tweaks, maybe something's missing. This allows us to kind of have creative control over this after they've given this initial stage. So shot-by-shot breakdown, it starts with a black screen, footsteps echo, we fade in on concrete, a close-up of designer shoes stepping heavily, and it says walking is waiting. And then there's another shot of a commuter crowd, all walking in slow motion. And then one figure, which is our like hero, is still, sleek outfit, sharp lines, hover shoes glowing faintly. I love this. Okay, so the hover shoes glow. This isn't something I thought about, but I actually really like this. But if I didn't, I could say, no, they do something else. They actually, I don't know, shoot steam or something. Whatever makes sense. But I really like this. Okay. Then it says a sudden beat drop. So it also talks about the music here. The figure tilts forward and floats. cinematic, slow tilt up as they glide smoothly between people, untouched, untethered. And then we've got a tracking shot from the ground, shoes skimming just above the pavement. We've got this abstract light space, so a dancer glides in the dark studio lit by beams of shifting white and blue, choreographed like Tai Chi meet urban ballet. Oh, I love it. So it has these jump cuts now between day and night, street and studio, and it's always smooth and flowing. Okay, a great concept, and I love this kind of montage here. There's also this micro moments of humanity that happens at some point, gliding past a child who turns in awe. Okay, cool. Great. So it's told me what's going to happen when. Now I need to figure out how am I going to make that happen? So this is actually the fun part. Once we've decided that we like everything, that it makes sense in terms of how it's going to happen, and it also gives us some idea about like the colors and everything like that, cool tones, urban grain, polished light play and studio shots. Okay, I like all of that. This is also the point where we make any changes. It's better to make changes right now, and so that we have the right style, the right succession of clips, everything like that, before we go to the next part, which is shot list prompt. Okay, so when you are making a video, if you're recording it with a camera, you need to have a shot list. What shots do we need to get? I need to get some images of a close-up of the shoe. That's one shot. I need a shot of a person coming through a door, this kind of thing. It's a detailed document created by the director or the cinematographer that outlines every camera shot needed for a film or video project. And it basically acts as a guide to organize the production, stay on schedule, ensure that all necessary footage is captured. And we need to do this as well when using AI. And this is really good because if we can develop a shot list, it also helps us create all the different images that we need that we can then motion to. And once we've done that, we have our clips already. So I put in, great, can you create me a shot list of each shot I need, plus this transition required between each shot, and then next to each shot, craft a prompt. So I want it to create what image, what shot needs to be done, how it's going to move to the next one. And also I want a prompt that I can already pull into an image generation model that can create me a nice image. So let's have a little look how it did. And it did great. So it took my script and it broke it down. We have the time code here. So that means where it's happening. So from 0 seconds to 6 seconds. So that's a 6-second clip. That's great because we're working with 8 seconds. So that's perfect. It's going to be a shot of feet stepping on pavement. Okay. The transition will be fade in from black. So we'll start from black and then we'll add the transition fade and then we will get this clip. Wonderful. And then it gave me a prompt. Designer shoes, stepping on gritty urban pavement, early morning light, this kind of thing. So it wrote a whole prompt for us that we can already use. And it did that for every single shot here for the entirety of our script. How wonderful is that? So let's have a little look. So I did actually end up making 30 seconds in the end. Just for the purpose of this video, I didn't want to go on forever. But also when you are embarking on a video project, especially for the first time, start small. Don't go crazy and try and make something that's 2.5 minutes. That's a lot of 8-second clips to make. Start small. When you watch a film or a series next, have a little notice of how long each shot is. You might have a person talking to another person and it'll be 2 seconds of a person's face and then 1 second of the other person's face, something like that. So realize that shots only take up there are lots of shots that make a whole sequence. So start small and you can still get something that's really, really good, and you won't be generating shots forever, basically. All right, here we go. This makes it a little bit more easy to see. Timecode, shot, transition, and prompt. All right, so we have our prompts. I then say, can you turn the first prompt into an image? The shoes are hover shoes. So I just wanted to clarify, because in the initial prompt, it just says close up of designer shoes stepping on gritty urban pavement, early morning light, moody atmosphere, cinematic depth. So I just wanted to clarify how hover shoes. I love the image. It's exactly what I was looking for. I did it in the same conversation that I built this whole project in ChatGPT. This just means it has all of the information that we have been creatively talking about. And then it can help pull in all of those aspects into creating the image. So it's kind of like an extra push to the prompt that you put in as well. If you took that prompt and put it into a new chat, you might not get the same richness because you have so much information here that you've been working in this one chat. So that's my top tip there. All right, so we have our first image. And then I did the same for the rest. If you remember what I was talking about, I said in the street, we've got this like cool character here, and he is also kind of a dancer. We have this kind of like studio light space as well, and this kind of switch between an urban landscape and also this more abstract landscape. It's great. The only thing here is my character isn't so consistent. I would say maybe these guys have the same face. This guy looks a little bit different. This guy looks a little bit different. This is an easy fix. You can use a free tool. You can use Nano Banana to change this. Just establish what the face of your subject is going to be, and then upload this image and the face and say, swap the face. And it should make that the same character. So that's one way to ensure a little bit more character consistency. All right, so it did a great job of me asking to produce each of the prompts. And now I'm collecting all of these images in a file so I can make videos out of them. Of course, sometimes ChatGPT can go off topic, as you can see here. This was not part of my storyboard. In fact, I'm not even sure really what he's doing. It could actually be he's either playing the piano or he's doing some kind of Morse code. Either way, that wasn't part of the hover shoe advert. So if it does go crazy, don't worry, just ask again. Sometimes ChatGPT can be like a petulant child or really bad assistant. So sometimes you just need to clarify it once again and hopefully get something that you want back. Okay, once we have all of our images, we can line them all up and it will look like a storyboard. We should get a really clear idea of how the video is going to look and how it's going to move from beginning to end. That's so exciting. So the next thing is even more exciting, and that is putting these images into motion. One of the most important parts when making really, really good video clips is starting with a really, really good image first. You can prompt into these video models what you want, and sometimes it comes out with a really, really great result. But the only problem is that you don't have an overview of what the design or the image will look like beforehand. So you've already spent a bunch of credits on something that you might be like, this character doesn't even look right, or the lighting is weird. So it's best to get an image and then add motion to it. Also, when you use images, say someone is doing a rather complicated movement, if you create an image where some of the movement is already there in the image, that's going to make a huge impact as well. So if you want someone to run, put in a picture of someone mid-running. That way the AI can be like, okay, this is the forward trajectory. It doesn't need to work too hard to figure out the physics. If you have a person just sitting down, maybe in a chair, and you say, this person runs across the room, it has to figure out how the person will get out of his chair and then run across the room. And that's a lot, and that's a lot of room for error. And we basically want to get rid of as much error as possible. Okay, there are a couple of places that you can put your images into motion. If you want to continue on the free route, you can use Sora. And you can also use VO2. VO2 is for free on Google AI Studio. It's not VO3, so you can't put voices into it, but it has some really, really nice video generation. And yeah, it's free. So highly recommend using that. If you want to play around with some different video models, I'm going to show you Kyber. And I think Kyber is a really great place to start, actually, to get an idea of what different models can do and what are really good video models for certain things and what are not so good. I can basically choose a bunch of different video models depending on what I'm trying to create here. They all cost differently. So some are 5 credits, the standard video here. But if I wanted to go to Pro, this would be 11 credits. I think VO3's up here. It's 24 credits per second. So that's something to keep in mind. Kyber is obviously a subscription model, depends on the subscription that you choose, but you get a certain amount of credits and then you can spend them. So here we are. I've got all my images that I created and I've pulled them into Kyber. So I started off with a video flow and I can just put my image into here. And then I could choose length, aspect ratio. This, I want it to be like a phone advert. So I'm going to use 9:16. If I wanted to be on YouTube or have this kind of cinematic quality, then I could choose something like 69 or whatever makes sense for you. Then you can choose length as well, as I said. If it's only needing something that's 3 seconds in our script, then we could just choose 4 seconds. If we choose 4 seconds, of course, then it costs less credits. So this is really nice as well. And we can save our credits for something else. Here is a lovely example of when to spend credits and when to not. So I wanted to test out 2 different video models. I have one over here using Kling Standard Video, and then I had Kling Pro on the left. So let's see. I wanted someone to step down onto the pavement with their hover shoes. So we don't quite know their hover shoes yet, but they're going to step down onto the pavement. This person is stepping down. You can probably see that the physics is a little wrong. He looks a bit like a puppet. This could be largely because it starts the image with him already hovering. So like I said, the AI has to decide what to do next. On the other side is the standard. So he still needs to figure out what to do next, but he's not hovering. He doesn't look like a puppet. You can really see just in the moment, this step here with the heel is so realistic. I love it. I will absolutely be using that in the video. When you put the image in, you can also put in a little prompt so you can use the shot from your table as well to help you guide what's happening. All right, and I did the same for all of these. I decided to go with the Kling Pro to create these shots because I just like the movement and a lot of these things were moving. But if I had something very subtle, then it might be worth using a model of a lower credit. Okay, so he's rising up here. I love it. Okay, this was him dancing. I see here that Kling doesn't do so well with the dancing. He morphs a lot. So I decided to use VO3 because it was the best one out at the time and could ensure a little bit smoother movement. And then we've got this here. I have the person walking by. It didn't use my person. It actually just used a random person, but that's okay. I can just cut the clip so that that guy just gets blocked out and no one will know. I love the cinematic movement. This shot list combined with the prompts has really made something super cinematic and dynamic. Again, this lovely tracking shot, absolutely just how it was written in the script, just hovering away. And this person hovering through the crowds, really great. And you see, because we already established the images, everything looks really cohesive. It looks like it's part of the same advert. And that is really fabulous. All right. Once you have all of your clips, it's time to pull them together, basically. And you can do this in a number of different ways. I mean, one way is you bring it into an editing software, but it really depends on what you use. I use Adobe Premiere Pro. This is obviously a subscription service, but you can use something that is for free. So you can use CapCut. You can use lots and lots of different tools. Sometimes even your computer itself has a little video editing tool. So that is also absolutely fine. You'll have a timeline, and you will be able to bring your clips into a row, into the timeline. You can edit it based on your script. It tells you the time code, right? So it tells you the duration. So you can make them smaller, longer, something like that, all next to each other. And once you have it there, then it's also up to you. You have creative freedom here. So if it doesn't feel quite right, play around a little bit. Maybe one shot that comes later comes earlier, or maybe you split them up a little bit. This gives you some creative control as well. But you have all of the items that you need to make a full-length video. All right. Once you've done that, you have a video, and we have a video right here. We have the finished product. So why not have a little look at why walk when you can hover, when you can float? This is our 30-second advert. Let's see what it's all about. And there we have it, our full-length advert, helped by ChatGPT, making the whole workflow a lot easier, consistent, and we can also make something like this using free tools as well. Thank you very much for joining me today. This is how you make a video from concept through to completion. Happy prompting, happy creating, and see you next time.